Smokey Robinson, the musical legend with a smooth voice and kind eyes, has long been seen as a romantic figure. But the truth behind this icon may surprise you. Do you really know who Smokey Robinson is? Get ready for a side of him you've never heard before. Just to hold her in my arms one more time. That iconic line isn't just a love song, it's a glimpse into a much more complicated story. Smokey wasn't the man the public thought he was. Beneath that sweet voice was a man battling addiction, a secret affair with Diana Ross, and a child no one knew about. On top of it all, he was fighting a bitter legal battle with his ex-wife. I was walking around at 6 feet 1 inch, weighing 120 pounds with pants held up by safety pins, Smokey says. His life wasn't just about writing love songs, it was about surviving in the spotlight, watching friends die, and protecting the music that made him famous. I didn't know I was about to say goodbye to everything I knew and loved, he reflects. And as his past caught up with him in courtrooms and interviews, Smokey had to confront the painful truth. My youngest son was born, and I finally had to face her, and then she threw me out. The real Smokey Robinson wasn't just a star. He was a man caught in his own battles. Before he became a legend, he was a skinny boy from Detroit, living in a cramped house with 11 people, surrounded by broken dreams and a harsh reality. Yet, music was his escape, a way to survive, not just a pursuit of fame. By 17, Smokey had already written over 100 songs, none of which were recorded, but each one a lifeline in his fight for survival. When Berry Gordy heard Shop Around, he didn't just hear a voice, he saw the potential of a star. But Smokey's true journey was just beginning. Berry Gordy saw Smokey Robinson as Motown's secret weapon. In no time, Smokey became a role model for young Black Americans, with his perfect hair, infectious smile, and voice that could stop anyone in their tracks. His life seemed flawless. Hits, a beautiful marriage to Claudette Rogers, fancy suits, and big dreams. But even legends have their cracks. Smokey's seemingly perfect world began to unravel, and a new chapter full of challenges was on the horizon. In the early years of Motown, Smokey and Diana Ross were inseparable. Recording sessions, songwriting, rehearsals, they were both signed by Gordy, becoming Motown's brightest stars. As their careers intertwined, their professional relationship began to blur into something more personal. Smokey admits that his connection with Diana developed naturally and lasted longer than expected, despite being married to Claudette. At the time, Claudette had stepped back from her career to focus on family, while Smokey's music career took off. As Smokey and Diana grew closer, the media never reported on their closeness, but those around them were suspicious. Smokey didn't open up about the emotional affair until years later, calling it something difficult to let go of. When it ended, Smokey realized he still had deep feelings for Claudette, but by then the damage had been done. Claudette had to endure the public fallout in silence. The affair was a blow to a marriage already strained by distance, infidelity, and the pressures of fame. In photos from the late 1970s, Smokey appeared alone at events, while Claudette, once always by his side, was missing. The relationship between Smokey and Claudette slowly faded. When asked about Diana, Smokey acknowledged the brief but intense affair, which left a lasting impact on him. Though he never fully explained its effects on his marriage or music, the consequences were clear. Smokey and Claudette officially divorced in 1986, as their lives and love had fallen out of sync. While their marriage crumbled, the influence of Smokey's affair with Diana Ross lingered. No rumors, no speculation, just the truth as revealed by Smokey himself. Smokey's affair with Diana Ross began while he was still married to Claudette, and though it was brief, it left a lasting strain on their marriage. As the affair ended, the distance between Smokey and Claudette grew wider. They stopped performing and traveling together, and by the early 1980s, they were no longer living as a couple. Smokey recalls the turning point. "My youngest son was born, and I finally had to tell her the truth. She kicked me out. I don't blame her," he says. Most women have their boundaries, and that's where most women draw the line. While Smokey was still reeling from the collapse of his marriage, he started another relationship, this time with someone outside the music world, which led to the birth of a son. This was the final blow to his already fragile marriage. Claudette had warned him, "Don't bring me disease, don't bring me children." And when the child was revealed, she left. In 1986, after years of separation and emotional turmoil, Smokey and Claudette filed for divorce, ending a 27-year marriage that began before Smokey's fame. They had 2 children and decades of music together, but by then, nothing could hold them together. While Claudette kept mostly quiet, Smokey reflected openly on his life, admitting that the affair and divorce were turning points. The child from his relationship outside the marriage remained private, but Smokey's life had been irreversibly changed. His family was fractured, and the fallout led him into addiction and what he described as the darkest years of his life. With his personal life in turmoil, Smokey's career began to suffer. He wasn't recording regularly, touring slowed, and he barely showed up for meetings. By the early 1980s, the once cool image of Smokey Robinson was slipping. On stage, his suits still fit, but off stage, they hung loosely on his gaunt frame. He weighed just 120 pounds at 5'11" and had to use safety pins to hold up his pants. "I got to that point just walking around," Smokey recalls. His friends noticed, but many assumed it was stress. In reality, it was the start of a deeper struggle. After years of avoiding hard drugs, Smokey gave in. What began as a small habit grew into a daily routine, and soon his life was unrecognizable. He would look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. Recording sessions became rare, business meetings missed, and Smokey's energy faded. The music was gone. But just when things seemed hopeless, an unexpected figure reached out to him. A woman, a church pastor, who would change everything. Smokey Robinson's life took a surprising turn when a woman, a church pastor, reached out to him. She didn't know him, but said she'd been praying for him for over a year. God had shown her he was on the brink, in danger of health problems from his cocaine use, possibly even a stroke. She knew details about his life that no one else did. "I don't know you, but I was praying a year ago and your name came out of my mouth," she told him. That moment changed everything. Smokey walked into her church, decided to quit, and never looked back. He never went to rehab, and he never relapsed. For Smokey, that stranger's prayer and his own decision to end his addiction saved his life. His recovery was quiet, and for a while it seemed like he had disappeared from music altogether. But Smokey hadn't left. He was starting over. Years later, Smokey's ex-wife Claudette returned to his life, not through a phone call or a reunion, but through a legal filing. In 2014, she sued Smokey for the rights to the songs he wrote during their marriage. The case centered on copyright ownership, and Smokey won back the rights using a provision in the Copyright Act of 1976, which allows artists to reclaim rights they signed away early in their careers. Claudette argued that as Smokey's wife during the time the songs were written, she was entitled to 50% of the rights under California's community property law. The case wasn't just about royalties. It exposed years of tension, blurred financial boundaries, and unresolved issues from their marriage. Claudette's team accused Smokey of fraud and breach of fiduciary duty, claiming he acted selfishly and illegally. Smokey's team countered, arguing that copyright recovery belongs to the author, not to a spouse or former partner. The lawsuit raised a broader question in the music world. When an artist reclaims their work, does an ex-spouse have a claim if the songs were written during the marriage? This case remains unresolved. The dispute between Smokey and Claudette also brings up a larger question. Who truly shaped Smokey's career? In 1987, when Smokey was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist, many questioned the absence of the Miracles: Ronnie White, Pete Moore, Bobby Rogers, and Claudette Robinson. These were the co-writers and foundational members of the group who helped shape Motown's sound. Together, they created timeless hits like Shop Around, You've Really Got a Hold on Me, and Going to a Go-Go. They were the first Motown group on national TV and the first to tour the segregated South under Motown's banner. Yet, their contributions often went unacknowledged. When Smokey Robinson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was a solo honor, just his name. no mention of the miracles. There was no joint ceremony, no recognition of the group, and fans were furious. Many music historians and journalists felt this was a major oversight, pointing out that Smokey's success as a solo artist was built on the foundation laid by the Miracles. The Miracles members, though silent publicly, were clearly disappointed when Smokey was inducted alone into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987. Claudette Robinson, the group's only female member and Smokey's ex-wife, fought for recognition in court. Smokey never publicly addressed the omission, and the moment passed. It wasn't until 2012, 24 years later, that the Miracles were inducted. Smokey was there to witness it, grateful, but still feeling the loss of his late bandmates. For fans who remembered the 1987 induction, the recognition felt incomplete, especially since many original members, including Claudette, had passed. Smokey, having outlived most of his early bandmates, was left to mourn those losses deeply, including the tragic deaths of close friends like Marvin Gaye, who was killed in 1984, and Sam Cooke, murdered in 1964. As Smokey entered his 80s, he continued performing, but the absence of his original group cast a long shadow. In 2020, Smokey contracted COVID-19 at age 80, fearing the loss of his voice, which had always been his identity. Miraculously, he recovered and returned to his music with renewed determination. Despite personal struggles, including addiction, divorce, and the loss of loved ones, Smokey never stopped creating. His music remained a source of strength, a testament to his resilience and love for his craft. Smokey Robinson's journey is one of overcoming pain through music, symbolizing faith, endurance, and an undying passion. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories. See you in the next video.